Right, so what I wanted to show you here. So let's load our setup. Load this. This is how we are. This is our mechanical grip, okay? And this is our aero grip. Now, a sim racer contacts me, Max Saltons. You might heard of him. So he contacts me and he tells me, you know, Aris, I've made a setup for the Ferrari, and the car actually spins like it has no grip at the rear of the tires. And whatever I do with the setup, trying to, you know, improve the situation, it keeps doing it. I can't get out of it. So I don't know if it's my problem or if it's a problem with the car. Maybe you wanna have a double check and see if, you know, there is some typo, and if you get some values in some range, then the car starts behaving badly. So I say, okay, yeah, send me the setup. I can have a look at it and see how it goes. So he sent me his setup, and it was this one. So this was his setup. So if we see here, there's nothing really strange, okay? It's a soft setup, like this. We saw before that the soft setup makes the car a little bit, you know, slow and a little bit sluggish, but easy to control, right? And the aero, no big deal. A little bit too much rake, probably. 59, a little bit too much rake. Dampers, a little bit too low bump. So I see a trend here, something strange happening. Way too much preload differential. So he's telling me that he's going to the turn, and at the middle of the turn the car spins on him. So he has big oversteer problems. So if you think about it, he has extremely low rear anti-roll bar, extremely stiff front anti-roll bar. He has lots of preload differential, very soft bump, and very stiff rebound at the front. Alright? So this makes me understand that he's trying to find rear mechanical grip to correct the car from, you know, sliding. Because this is all things that, you know, you try to do when it's the classical rules that you read on the books. You know, the book says you need more mechanical grip on one of the axes, then make that axis of the car as soft as possible and make the other one as rigid as possible. This is what you find in the old books of car handling and setup. So you can see here he's trying to do that, all right? Tires, similar situation, you know. You see here very low tire pressures at the rear, higher at the front. That's the situation. But the setup doesn't seem, you know, out of proportion. So let's try the setup and see what's going on. So try the setup. Let's go and see. Alright, let's go. Didn't have any issues on the first turn, but let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, it has some oversteer, or power also. Whoa, whoa! that was unexpected. Oh, you see, when I'm braking or releasing, how the car instantly goes in. Do you remember the whole discussion before at the early hours of the stream, when I told you that when you go into the apex and you let go of the car, you want some reactions, but the reaction has to be subtle and you have to be able to control them in time. And clearly this car rotates way too much. Now on slow turns it's not that bad. But oh, on fast turns we have issues. We have big issues. Yeah. You see how much time I'm losing trying to control the car here? Which means all that is, you know, losing time. You don't have the car where you want it to be, you have to control it, and then you're late on the accelerator and so on. And this is make you lose time. Oh, that was very bad. Oh. So you see, at high speeds, big situations. So at very slow speeds, it's not that bad. It has some issues, but it's not that bad. You see, the turn-in is extremely oversteering. If I'm not careful of what I'm doing in the turn-in, then oof, this is... So now that the tires are getting into pressure and heat, I'm having even more problems. So let me remind you, as we said at the start of the stream, that a soft setup also makes the car move more in pitch, and that means that the aero balance moves forward or backwards way too much. Okay, and this creates instability and not much of precision. Oof. Oh, you see how if I'm not on the accelerator, oh, the car really wants to rotate on fast turns. Oh, you see that? You see here, it might seem that it was understeer, but it wasn't understeer. It was me having fear to put the car in the turn, so I ended up wide. So you have also to be careful to understand what you're doing and how you're driving the car. Oof, I just can't put the car inside. Okay, enough of this. It's undrivable. So the guy was, you know, properly complaining, and he was right about it. So let's go back and see. So,
right, this session is about consistency.
Here's the situation.
But don't push it over the limit.
Those cars have the so-called windows of operation. Okay, I've written about that in the forums. I will tell you what I mean here. It's not easy. I haven't prepared, unfortunately, and I'm not in the other XSplit, so I cannot, switch windows to show you a diagram. So I don't know if I should try to show you here or do something different. Anyway, let's try to do this. I don't know if you guys can. So let's say that all the values that you have in the setup, okay, you are in something like here. You have tons of values, okay, and you can go through all the ranges from minimum to maximum in all the values, which means that the whole car has a range of values that starts from here and ends here. Okay, this is all the values that and combinations that you can put on the car. So normally, until now, in our older sims, talking at least about Kunos, I don't know the others. I guess so. I mean, at least for older ones. You go soft. You have the car that has more grip. It's easier to handle, but is less precise. It's less fast on changing situations and stuff like that. You go stiff. You have the car that is very dirty, very fast, changing direction, very precise, but you have less grip. It's harder to work, etc. So you have to find a compromise somewhere in here. But in reality, real cars and in Assetto Corsa Competizione, it doesn't work like that. You have windows of operation, which means you have all these lanes, and in a particular circuit and driving style, but more specifically circuit, the car might work from here, okay, to here. So this part, here it works, okay, and then it might work from here to here again, okay, so something like that, and it works here. So the car works here and it works here. Outside of those two windows, okay, you're gonna have unpredictable results. So for example, you might say, okay, the car here is oversteery and I'm very close to the operation window that I might not know, but I'm very close to the operation window. So the car is oversteery, I will make the rear end softer. So you go out of the operation window. You'd expect normally that the car will gain grip as you go softer and you'll have more traction at the rear. But you try the car and strangely enough, instead of having more grip and more traction, the car starts to react unpredictably. It starts to become even more oversteery. And this happens because you stepped out from the operation window, okay? It's not, obviously, it's not like a click. It's not like, works, doesn't work anymore. No, it's more gradual, but it does happen. And this is why we have many people that trying, coming from older sims, coming into Assetto Corsa Competizione, they try the usual old logic of setups, and they're like, oh, I have oversteer here. I will soften, the rear end. Let's go here. And instantly the car becomes even more oversteery. That means that you slipped out, you stepped out of the operation window. Now you might keep going and arrive here, that is another operation window, and then it works again. So, oh, what happened? Oh, this simulator is shit, it doesn't work anymore, it's completely bugged. No, it does so because all the stuff that simulates inside, and especially the advanced aerodynamics, create, without us creating, in a script, it is created automatically. It creates operation windows. It might be 1 and 2, it might be just 1, it might be 1, 2, 3, who knows? We don't even know, you have to try and see. But the rule here is that if you are doing something logical, so you have, let's say, oversteer and say, okay, I'll make the front end even more stiff, and it works, it means that you are still inside the operation window. If it starts giving you the opposite of what you're expecting, then you're probably going outside of the operation window. So either you do a big jump and go into another operation window, or you stay there, you go back a little bit and start playing with the other axis, the opposite. Start to try different things, So remember this, if you have something that works and at some point you keep going with the setup and you're getting the opposite results of what you're expecting, means that you are slowly creeping out of the operation window. Alright? And obviously I can tell you that the safe setup and the aggressive setup are in operation windows. So if you're starting moving outside the aggressive setup and it works, all fine, you're still inside the operation window. If at some point it gives you, again, different results, the opposite of what you expect, then it means that you are stepping outside the operation window. Go a step backwards in the value that you were changing and go somewhere else in the setup. So let's say you were changing something at the front, it gives you the exact opposite, one click behind again, go at the rear and do something there to balance the car again. Alright? So is that clear enough? Let's see. Alright. Okay, so I don't see any specific questions about this. Hopefully you guys understood that. Let's see what's the problem with this setup. So the problem here is that instead of going one click at a time, he did tons of click at a time. And he stepped out completely of the operation window and lost any logic. I mean, his logic, and what you will find also in books, is that, okay, you have oversteer, make the rear softer, 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 all the way, and make the front stiffer, 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 and lock the preload differential so that, you know, it locks and doesn't make the car rotate. It gives you more stability. But the problem is that he stepped out of the operation window, basically the aero operation window of the car, and so everything he was doing, it makes the car even wider, even more oversteery. Everything was going on the opposite, even if, you know, logic and theory would suggest that this is what he should do. So, what was his problem? Here's the problem. The main problem was here. He probably at some point he thought that, okay, I have too much understeer, so let's make the front softer. So let's make the bump stop range higher so that the suspension moves more and doesn't go on the bump stop at the front. So as you can see, he put the bump stop range at 4, right? That was it. Instead of doing 1 click, he made 4 clicks in a very specific value, which are the bump stop. All the stuff that is here in the mechanical grip, except the anti-roll bars, but the wheel rates and the bump stop rates and the bump stop rates, 1 click at a time, maybe 2 at some occasions, but 1 click at a time. He made 4 clicks, completely lost the operation window. What is happening here is that the car, especially at high speeds, goes into the turn. When I lift or even braking a little bit, it will dive way too much, all right? The front end will go way too low into the into the terrain. It will create much downforce at the front. It will stop the flow to the diffuser, so the diffuser will get less flow of air and will start producing less downforce, so the whole aerodynamic balance will move to the front exactly at the point where you are in need of more stability. And instead of stability, you have tons of grip at the front, less grip at the rear, and the car starts to rotate as badly as we saw. So, solution, let's go back to 0 here, and I won't touch anything else. I will just go back to 0 here and see what happens. Okay, just that. So I will try this to put the car, to control the pitch of the car. And controlling the pitch of the car, it means that I'm gonna try to bring the aero platform back to the operation window. Okay, so that the platform goes in pitch but stays into certain rake and certain degrees, that the whole aero platform still works. It doesn't move too much back and forth. So I just change this and let's drive it. Yes, Niels, we got aero maps for the manufacturers, and that was, you know, quite a help. Sometimes they don't give you the exact values. They give you the aero map in percentage. So they tell you, okay, this is the rake, you have tot percentage at a reference point, 0%, and then the rake changes and they say you, okay, they tell you, okay, 1% more at the front, 2% more at the front, 3% more at the front, and they give you like this. And other times, and when they do that also, we also ask them at least a telemetry so that we understand a little bit of what's going on. And they also give us some reference values at some speed with some aero at, you know, at balance. So, okay, we know that at that speed with that rake, the car produces this kind of values, and then the rake changes and we have some percentages back and forth. So yeah, we got that, and that's why we don't show that anywhere, because obviously, you know, we have to make it a bit difficult. We don't want to show people those data because, as you can understand, manufacturers give those data to the teams that they pay around 5, 6, 800,000 euros per car. So yeah. Oh, still missed the car, but that was probably my error because I arrived at the at the braking zone way too hot, braked way too late. Obviously, we just did one change. It doesn't mean we corrected completely the car. But I want to see if it is at least a little bit better. And as you can see, at least I can go on coasting and the car doesn't really rotate as much. It does rotate a little bit if I trail brake. So probably we have way too low brake balance. It's at 51.2. It's way too low. This is another problem, you know. In Assetto Corsa 1 you would enter the turn making the rear end sliding like that a little bit, you know. You would let it slide smoothly. Very fun to drive, very entertaining, but it's not realistic because if you see the cars in real life, they don't slide. They don't slide at all. They stay very put, very stable. And if you try to do this kind of setup and this kind of driving in Assetto Corsa Competizione, it doesn't pay at all. The car becomes very nervous and it doesn't really slide smoothly. It starts to slide, grip, and this is awful. It doesn't give you a nice feeling, and it doesn't even go fast. So there are people I know, some sim racers, that they're not used to that. They try Assetto Corsa Competizione and say, oh, that's not correct. Well, it is. You have to change your habits. So anyway, we are here, and the car is still bad, but it's better than before. So let's move the brake balance to the front. I'm at 44. I will go 55 and see what happens. So I just changed two things. I brought back the bump stop range at 0, and I've changed the brake balance now at 55 from 51, that it was really very low. Oh, in fast corners I still have issues like that. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back.
Alright mate, this session is about consistency.
And let's just, as I told you, now we have a car that's way too much, you know. So let's go back 2 clicks at the rear. Oh look, we have arrived at what I was using before. And the car is a little bit soft, so let's do 2 clicks, 2 clicks, 2 clicks. That's all. Okay? Back again. Yeah, I forgot to raise the brake balance on the setup, so let's go back to 55 again. And let's see what we have here. Yeah, it's much more stable, you see? Much more stable. So instantly the car begins... Oh, look at that. So we just did 2 clicks on the rear right head, 2 clicks at the springs, so wheel rate, and the car instantly, you know, changed like that, transformed completely. What does that mean? It means that we stepped in the operational window. That's, wow, look at that. Completely stable. I mean, like, the difference is massive here, you know. So, this is the problem. We didn't completely change his setup, no. There's tons of stuff you can do in that setup to make it better. But the important thing is that the moment that you put the car in the operation window, then you can start to have, you know, you can start driving again and not correcting, not fighting the car. If you drive the car and you're able to drive the car without fighting it, then you can start thinking how to improve the setup and your driving style. If you go out of the operation window of the car, asking from the car to do things that it cannot do, then it won't work. In competizione, it simply won't work. It's not like, you know, you can trick the physics and make the car drifty so that you can go into, you know, look at how the car is stable. It's amazing. And but you cannot do that. You cannot do that. You know, you're not gonna do this. I mean, yes, you can do it, but you're so slow. It doesn't make sense. You cannot drift and then get straight on the exit and go fast. So this is the case study I wanted to show you, which I think explains very, very well what the operation window, you know, of the cars are. Some cars have very narrow operation window. For example, Audi, Lamborghini, very, very narrow operation window. Some cars have a wider operation window, like, for example, the Lexus or sorry again, or the Bentley. Bentley has a very wide operation window, so you can go hard on the setup changes, and the car still maintains its character. Some cars have strange operation windows, like the Porsche. The Porsche is very tricky to drive because at every circuit they need a completely different setup, and this is a problem actually of the real car. Changes a little bit the ambient temperature, changes a little bit the circuit, and you know they have to change completely the setup, especially on the old Porsche. The Porsche Evo is a little bit better, but still has issues. So each car has its own characteristics, and you have to respect them. You have to find the operation window. The preset setups are a good indication where to stay and not go too far off. You can go too far off, but you have to find a different operation window, which might be way too far away. Okay, so this is the situation. Yes, we talk about that with the sim racer. He was very happy. He understood that. I thank him that he let me, you know, showcase that situation, because I think it's very clear, very important to showcase this. And so thanks again to Albert Maxaltens for sharing his setup and the whole situation. Yeah, that's it. So let's see if you guys have any questions.